So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's GIMA webinar featuring Aspin, one of our long-standing partners and associate members, I'm pleased to say. And today we're joined by Nathan Aspin and Greg Hepworth. But before we get into the details of the subject matter today, just some quick housekeeping rules. For those of you that are regular GIMA webinar attendees, you will see that we are actually using the proper Zoom webinar functionality today. So sadly, we can't actually see or hear anyone else on the call, but there is still an opportunity for questions at the end. And if you can use the Q&A functionality, which is at the bottom, should be at the bottom of your screen, you can see Q&A there. If you jot any questions in there, then we'll pick them up that way and deal with them at the end of the session. And I know that Aspin will try and answer as many of the questions today as possible, but any that they can't actually get to, they'll come back to you afterwards with some direct answers. The presentation from Greg is actually going to last about 15 minutes, and then I say we'll all come back at the end and deal with any sort of questions then. And a copy of the presentation will also be sent out to everybody afterwards. So that's all from me for now. So I'll hand over to Nathan, who's going to introduce Aspin, I think, and also introduce the topic. So I'm going to switch my camera off now and hand over to Nathan, and I'll see you all at the end.
Excellent, thank you very much, Vicky. It's good to see a good number of attendees that I know either as customers or from trade shows and GIMA events. So hello, I hope you're all faring well. So during 2020, we've very much seen the need for businesses to be in full control of their product data, images and other content increase significantly. And as a business, Aspin has worked with distributors and brands for the past 25, 30 years. And this has been very much a change that has been, I think, accelerated by what's been happening this year. I think this has been driven by, firstly, a need for a greater level of self-service from your customers to access information, and also for that information to be available for your entire business, that product information, whether your staff are at home or in the office or anywhere else. Furthermore, I think we've seen an increased need to collaborate across the entire supply chain with regard to product data, images, PDFs, etc., and just make that readily available for anyone you want, or anyone you need to, via a sort of a collaborative platform. And then thirdly, more and more retailers going online and needing sort of differing information from you, where you have this sort of one source of information, but then your different customers are asking for it in different ways. So Aspin, already working with many sort of suppliers to the garden centres, have been really extending our existing platform, SkooCloud, to deliver something which can allow stock-based businesses to really capitalise on your product data, your product images, your PDFs, your catalogues, and provide a time-saving and value-rich product management data tool. And this is what Greg is going to be showing today. In a brief overview, he's not going to go into massive detail. This is something that if anyone's interested in going into more detail, you can contact us directly afterwards. We'll also be providing some details how to via email in the follow-up. Also, we have a free platform and a sort of an adoption approach. So if anyone wants to try out SkooCloud, that's something which we can work with you to upload product information and data so you can see how it can benefit your business. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Greg. I'm going to turn my camera off as well, and I'll see you on the other side, and look forward to answering some of your questions. So I'll turn off now and see you in a bit.
Thank you, Nathan. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just play the presentation, and like we keep saying, we'll be back at the end to answer your questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Greg Hepworth and I'm the Head of Product Development at Aspin.
Today I'm going to talk to you about product information management and how you can maximize the value of your product data using a PIM system such as our own SkooCloud. Just a quick note about us, we are a leading supplier of technology to the sales and distribution market, primarily enabling sales teams, agents and retailers to increase the volume and value of their orders. Our suite of products cover the entire sales order lifecycle, from the organization, marketing and promotion of products to the acquisition of an order, whether that's on mobile or web, and then providing reporting and analytics on those transactions to aid in future decision making. We work alongside your existing technology, taking data feeds from your current systems to power ours and synchronizing the results back. With over 35 years experience in this industry, we know a lot about how to effectively promote and process orders. And today I'm going to talk to you about the start of the lifecycle, how to manage the large volume of product information you have. Let's start by clarifying what product information management and the related term digital asset management really mean. Product information management, or PIM, is the process of managing all the data and information related to a given set of products. In simple terms, this means centralizing all those pieces of information and attributes about an individual product, such as weight, dimensions, color, so on, from multiple sources for review and use. It would also provide tools and services to manage and process that product information in a variety of ways. Information is imported into a PIM directly from the ERP or from other sources such as CSV or an API. Then it would be exported in standardized ways to other channels such as e-commerce sites, point of sale, print, and so on. A PIM system is ideal for businesses that deal with a wide array of products or where each product has a complex data set, with information about that product coming from different places or being enhanced directly. It's also ideal in our increasingly omnichannel sales environments where the same data needs to be distributed to multiple systems. Rather than repeating ourselves, we can import it once and export it many times. A closely related tool is digital asset management, which is the centralization of any digital assets related to your products. The best example of this would be product images, storing all the images associated with a product in one place for use elsewhere. But equally, a DAM can be used to store PDFs, videos, or any other asset related to support the sales lifecycle or any other business purpose. So why would a PIM be needed? Let's get a bit deeper on the problems that a PIM system can solve. As you've probably worked out, the main problem here is the fragmentation of data and bringing that all together into one place. Maybe this sounds familiar to you. You have part of your information held in your ERP, but not all of it. There is some additional data that can't live there. Maybe your suppliers provide this as additional data files and now they live in your brand manager's inbox. But not all suppliers supply the same information, so to fill in the gaps you also get your product marketing team to add a bit in, and now part of that data is on their desktop somewhere. In the meantime, the marketing team have created some gorgeous high-resolution images and they've been stored in Dropbox or OneDrive. Quite quickly, the important data about a single product is spread over and copied across multiple locations. So when you come to use it, how do you know you're looking at the latest? Where is the master copy and who owns it? And when it changes, you have to make sure that all the locations are being updated. Let's say you wanted to create a catalogue for a new line of products. To complete this, the designer will have to work with all those departments to make sure they have the correct data, and maybe some of it is missing, so it needs to be created before they can continue. Then when it's complete, the risk here is that the information used is not the most up-to-date, and so you are giving your customers inaccurate information. Similarly, if the product information is being used to power another system, such as to update the product information on Amazon or eBay, you want confidence that that data is correct. Now, this was one thing when everyone was in the office together and you could walk over to someone's desk or shout across the room, but in the current climate with more people working remotely, it's even more important to manage this properly and get it right. So the value in the use of a PIM is the cost savings from not having to manually manage all of that product data. Also, it reduces the time and effort of using that data, as well as mitigating the risk and impact from distributing incorrect or out-of-date information. Put simply, the use of a PIM with automation results in more time to work on other projects. We talk to many businesses who have individuals or teams dedicated to keeping product data up to date, tasks that a PIM, such as our own SkooCloud, would handle with ease. We can automate the collection of data from multiple systems, as well as the distribution of that data from place A to place B repeatedly when it changes. And how do we know this? Because we repeatedly see that the PIM we offer, SkooCloud, provides these cost savings to our customers. So much so that we actually use it ourselves to power our own web and app platforms. Here we can see how SkooCloud fits at the centre of your product information. We have the sources of information on the left being fed into SkooCloud either automatically or manually, and then the use of and export of that data on the right. Across the top we have the different users of the system, all knowing that they have access to the most up-to-date information at any time. Let's now step out the theory and have a look at SkooCloud in action. I'll give you an overview of the user interface, then run through some common use cases. We'll look at asset sharing, how you can share your assets with customers and partners. We'll look at how SkooCloud takes multiple data sources and combines them into one product entity. We'll then look at exports, firstly with a data export that could be used on an external system, and then a PDF export, how to create a beautiful catalogue or line sheet using the data from the PIM and the DAM. Here we can see the main SkooCloud interface, and in general it's split into two parts, the PIM and the DAM. First off we have the DAM, and this is where all the assets for your products or business are held, and you can see they're listed here in this grid format so you can see exactly what each one is. As mentioned, they can be uploaded automatically or manually, and you can retain a folder structure as needed, as you see here. We also have a comprehensive tagging system so that individual assets can be associated with any number of tags to help you organize them. Across the top here we have the search bar, and of course you can select any asset and enlarge it to see it in more detail. Next we have the PIM. This is your list of products organized by SKU or product code. A product code is a unique entity, there can't be more than one of them. Again, you have tags that you can manage and apply to any of the products, as well as categories that fit your business and sales models. Within an individual product, you can see the list of attributes. These are the pieces of data sourced from multiple locations and tied to this product. And in the tabs here, you can see images or any other files which are associated from this product linked from the DAM. In both PIM and DAM focus modes, you can see an action bar across the top that lets you perform actions, for example to administer the attributes or categories, or create the exports. And finally, briefly, here are the settings. In the settings you can manage which users you want to have access to SKU and provide access control, limiting their access by tag, folder and category. You can also apply your own branding to SkooCloud with your own custom colour scheme as well as your own logo. Okay, so let's take a brief look at some of the common use cases of SkooCloud. Firstly, the most common use case is to want to distribute your product assets. Maybe you want to send the images to an external designer to build some advertising. Or maybe you want to send them direct to a customer so they can build their own promotion or add the images to their websites. Now remember that we have folders and tags that allow you to organize your assets around these kind of campaigns. So here I can select all the images that have been tagged with my campaign to filter the list down. Then sharing is easy as selecting them all and selecting share via email from the menu and entering the recipient's email address. I can even add a simple message to let them know what I'm sending to them, and when I hit submit, in the background SkooCloud will package up those assets into an email-friendly attachment and forward on to the recipient. And that email is branded, taking your logos and colours. So let's see how we can add additional data from multiple sources using SkooCloud. Imagine I've been sent a CSV file that updates or adds an attribute to an existing product. For example, here my supplier has given me the artist for a series of greeting cards I stock. First, I need to add that attribute to Skoo via the admin interface, making sure I create it in the correct way. Here I can select my default attributes, which are coming from my ERP, or my custom ones. This would be considered a custom attribute. I hit add in the top right hand corner and make sure I select the correct data for this attribute. Now this is saved, I can go back to my set of products and see that that attribute is now available on those products, but currently it's empty. I can now import the file from my supplier using the import a CSV file function. I upload the file and choose the correct column mappings. This first element is the SKU and the second element is the artist. Hit submit and you can see the products have been successfully imported. Now if I go back to my products and look at my attributes, you can see that now the artist has been populated for this card. So you can see how easy it is to add new attributes to your existing products using SkooCloud. And of course this can all be automated using import templates and scheduled tasks. Once you've got all your data into SkooCloud, no doubt you'll want to use it for other systems. Generally here there are two use cases: data exports for use in something like Excel or to send to another system, or visual exports like a PDF for sending to customers. SkooCloud offers complete flexibility in how these exports are set up so we can support most third-party systems. Let's take a look at a data export. So while I'm in the PIM, I choose Export, Manage Export Templates. Here we can see the list of all the templates that are currently configured. Let's create a new one by clicking Add. I want a data template, and let's say that this is an export to a new auction site I want to support. Once I've created my export template, I can configure it. First off, I need to choose which of my products I want to include in this export. I can either select all of them, or I can select different categories or different tags, or a combination of both. I'm going to select all. I then select which attributes I want to include in this export. I can include images and any of the previously configured or synchronized attributes from my ERP. Or if needed, I can reorder them into the format that the third-party system expects. Once my export template is set up, I'm ready to go. I can go back to my product list and select Export, Export CSV. I select my template from the list of those available and then click Export CSV where it's downloaded to my computer. I can then send that to the third-party system or open in Excel. Here you can see that the data is exactly what I was expecting. PDF exports follow a similar model to a data export, except the attributes chosen are inserted into a PDF template in the appropriate positions. If I go back to Manage Export Templates and add a new template, but this time I'll choose PDF. If I go to configure this, again I can choose which products I want to include into my PDF. Then I can choose which attributes I want to be included in the PDF depending on the layout. For PDF layouts, we support custom templates which can be designed in partnership with yourselves, or we offer some standard templates such as a list layout, a single product layout, 4-product layout, and so on. Once I've configured my PDF template, I can go to Export, Export PDF, and then select that template from my list of available templates. SkooCloud will generate the PDF in the background, and you can either have it emailed to yourself, saved directly to the DAM, or both. Once I hit export, you'll get the PDF within a couple of minutes. And when received, it will be branded with your colours and logos. The recipient can then download the PDF directly, and it looks something like this. You can see all the information has been pulled out of the PIM, including barcode data and imagery, and put into the PDF template. There is a lot more to SkooCloud and product information management than we have time to cover today, but I hope this has given you a good idea of the benefits such a system can provide. We've seen how we can centralise the product information and assets for a set of products that have come from multiple different sources, keep them up to date, and then export them as data or PDFs to other systems or partners. Okay, well, I think, or I hope that everyone found that useful. And now we'll take some questions, I think. So I'm going to hand back over to Vicky.
Yes, do you know what? I wish I'd had that system when I was working in marketing a few years ago. The amount of different files that we used to have to access and people and everything, it was an absolute nightmare. But yeah, okay. I mean, I've got a few questions.
I
assume the fact that it's called SkooCloud indicates that the data is actually held in the cloud somewhere. So that's my first assumption.
Yes, absolutely. We have a secure and highly robust system based on cloud technologies. So your data is safe. Yeah.
And is there some kind of interface to allow it to sort of connect with other systems?
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to really focus on the automation. So if there is a system that wants to get hold of that data via an API, we do have one, and we can provide an access key for that. Again, very secure, and then that system can interrogate the data and use it as they wish. So absolutely, yeah, that's definitely.
Okay. And an API effectively is just like it's an application program interface. It just means that systems can basically connect to each other over a robust and secure connection. So you might have heard that term before, but effectively it just means a way that different systems can talk to one another safely and securely.
Yeah.
And just in terms of that sort of PDF facility, I mean, that's great as well. I mean, is there much flexibility on that? And I noticed in there were barcodes as well. So how does, you can support barcodes, can you? And what's that kind of flexibility is there on the sort of PDF side?
Yeah, I mean, there's almost infinite flexibility. We can work to a template, so we can work with a design team and make it lay out with your colors and brandings as any way. And we're quite happy to do that. Like the video showed, we do have some standard templates which cover some pretty nice looking designs. But if we wanted it to be very specific to a brand or a particular use case, then we can work to that as well. So that's fine. And in answer to the barcode thing, absolutely. If a barcode data is part of the attributes, then we can detect that in the template and render it as a barcode directly. And just recently, actually, we've had people design labels. So you get a sort of a printer like paper for labels, and we'll design into the little boundaries so they can have stickers that they stick on products and that kind of thing. So yeah, an awful lot of flexibility in there as well.
Yeah.
I'll also say we have we can also export to a format called XML, which can then be imported into other design programs like InDesign. So if there was an in-house design team that managed that, we can still provide the data for that via this XML interface. So they can just import the XML, and then they'll be guaranteed to get the up-to-date data. So it's quite a big use case for us, the whole catalog design.
Another quick thing as well is like creating product data sheets. So where many of our customers have hundreds or thousands of products, so it's not that straightforward to create up-to-date and correct spec sheets for their thousands of products. We can create templates. So as long as the data and the images are accurate, they only have to maintain that once, and then we can quickly create spec sheets for hundreds and thousands of products just in an automated way. And it doesn't mean you might spend weeks creating all these documents and then they're pretty much out of date as soon as you've done it. They'll always be as up to date as the data is at the point you create them.
And what about, I noticed there was different logins for employees. Can you provide customers with access as well?
Yeah, that's also built into the system. We call them read-only users. So you can create accounts for your customers, and then when they log in, they can't change the data, which is the key thing. And then there's also a kind of permission scheme that sits around that. So you might say, well, this customer can only see this brand or this category, and this other customer can only see these tags and these categories. So quite a lot of flexibility in there. We're also about to launch a way that if you've got one of our other products called Intercell,
you'll be able to jump from Intercell using that account and see the relevant product information from SKOO. So you don't have to juggle multiple accounts and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's quite a key thing for us that this data gets used. It's not just a sort of a backup or storage, it's also to use that in other applications and for other purposes.
Yeah. What about, sorry, I'm asking lots of questions. I know there are a couple of questions on the system. Not that I could use it because I don't have a need for it now, but I'm sure lots of our members do. What about media files? You know, I mean, what you talked about, sort of static images and PDFs and things. Is that sort of a next step, or is that something that you can accommodate as well?
Yeah, so we support any kind of, in the DAM, any kind of digital asset in that respect. Our approach is to not fiddle with that. You know, we expect our customers are quite proud of their product data. So once it gets imported into SKOO, that's how it's stored at the quality it's imported in. So we keep it untouched. So therefore it can be distributed without fear that, you know, the high quality 4K video is now compressed to some blocky mess, that kind of thing. And again, on our roadmap, we're looking at whether we can expand on that, and maybe people would like the opportunity to resize images and that kind of thing. So it's something we're thinking about. But yeah, any kind of digital asset, videos, images, documents, they can all get uploaded and distributed via the DAM.
Okay. Okay. Nathan, do you want to look at any, see if there's any other questions that are coming in? Because you can probably
so there's a couple of questions in relation to customer access, or, you know, I guess the garden centre or retailer. So one asking about, can you limit the attributes? So yes, so Greg showed you, so effectively the garden centre would be a read-only account that could either have an automatic access from, say, a B2B portal, or they could log in directly. And the brand stroke distributor who uses SkooCloud can very much determine what those read-only users can actually access. So that can be on a specific user-by-user basis, or you can create different sort of groups of users. So you and it could even be in different languages. So you might have some of the like PDFs that are being created might be for you know, a French audience. Also, when those sort of customer users access it, the interface can be simplified, just so that they're only really accessing what they need to. So they can just do what they need to do and get the data or images in a quick and simple way. There's another question in regards to integrations. So what other platforms do we integrate with? So we've provided data for our own B2B platform, Intercell, also to platforms such as Magento and Shopify. And I mean, we're not always sure what our customers are doing with it, because effectively they can create their own exports. We can provide the API key, which I explained at the beginning, so people can basically interrogate the data for whatever they might want to use. So it's fairly flexible and can really work with any systems that can talk with another system.
Yeah, just to build on that flexibility is key. So once the data's in there, we can have it interrogated via the API. So if the consuming application was able to, it could connect directly to SKOO and say, give me all the images for this SKOO, and then use it in the way it wanted. The data exports I showed as well, they can also be part of a data exchange flow. So we could periodically export a set of data into a location that another application can then pick up. And then that would power, say, an e-commerce website, so it could populate its own data from that. I mean, that's almost exactly what we're doing with our own Intercell. So I think the key is that it's flexible. There's so many systems out there that we needed to make sure we could accommodate all of those types of use cases. So.
And as I said at the beginning, I mean, a common requirement is, you know, the retailer, you know, they're collecting product information from all their main suppliers, and you know, and it differs dramatically. You know, one retailer might want these 20 bits of information, another one might want these 50, Amazon might want these 128, John Lewis something else. So it really provides, you know, one source of truth for all that information, but then you can adapt it according to individual customer or supplier requirements. And because it's cloud-based, if you've got overseas distributors, you know, they might have a higher level of access, so they can very much, you know, just tap into that information so they can access it whenever they need to.
You see, there's a question about an audit trail of changes. You've seen that?
Yeah, so I can take that one. We're not showing that at the moment. So in the background, we know what's happening, and but it's not exposed. But that's definitely something on our roadmap to build upon. You know, like most products, there's a set of features that we're building to, and we'd be quite happy to discuss them and say what's coming up in the future. So, yeah.
So then, that was one more question about integration. So that might be handled by Aspin. It might be handled by an in-house team, might be handled by a third party. That's sort of the beauty of an API, but basically it's a sort of a structured way to integrate. Or alternatively, the business might just create their own sort of exports in an XML or CSV format, which is, you know, a nice, quick and easy way to share information with third parties or other systems.
Okay. There's a question about, I know you mentioned about images being compressed and being held in the format on the cloud. Apologies if you've already answered this, but there's a question about when you actually package them up and send them on, what do they get compressed at the other end, and what format does the person receive it in if they're emailed?
No, what they are is they're zipped. So if there's more than one, effective thing, even if there is just one, we zip it up so it's the smallest size possible for email distribution. And then the user on the other side would unzip it. And one of the reasons we do that is because images can be quite large. So if it does go over a certain limit, we actually split it into multiple emails. So if there's sort of hundreds of megs of images, we don't try and send a 100 meg email. We'll split that up into multiple zips. And so the user on the other side still gets the original files just across multiple zips.
Or they just get a link to actually download the zip, so that the zip is created in the cloud. The customer just receives an email with that link, and when they click on it, they then download the information in that way. So therefore, there's no issues of the emails going into spam or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. Gosh, there's a lot of questions on there. There's a question about costs, Nathan. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so in relation to costs, so there's three levels of platform. There is the basic SkooCloud Basic, which we provide with our Pixel iPad app and our Intercell B2B platform. And that really is just very much serving our own products. There's then a free trial of the sort of intermediary level, which is SkooCloud Plus. And SkooCloud Plus is £1,500 per annum, but we can set it up on a sort of a trial basis, so a business can upload their product information, create custom attributes, put product data in there, and we provide a sort of a setup, a free setup package with that as well, just to ensure they can get their head around how they need to set things up. And then we have an enterprise level SkooCloud Enterprise, and that is very much provided on specification and requirements. So that's projects for SkooCloud Enterprise are between, so the annual is between 5,000 and 7,500, and the services associated with that are between maybe 4 and 8 days. But that's more varied, but most of what we've spoken about today is provided via the SkooCloud Plus platform, which is kind of what we see as going to be the most popular way for businesses, to quickly be able to share and collaborate their product data and information.
So there's a few different levels there, isn't there, for people to access? Okay. Are there any more questions on there that you're able to answer today, or have we covered them all?
I think I'll answer all of them sort of in the follow-up email. We'll maybe do that as an attachment, so people want, because some of them get quite technical, and I guess the audience, there are some technical people and probably some less technical people. So if we answer them afterwards, then people can get deep dive if they want to.
Yeah, so obviously you dealt with the registration, so you've got everybody's details who's on this call. So if you can follow up that, you know, with a copy of the presentation, and obviously, you know, anybody who's interested, have a chat with you about the different pricing options. But I mean, it sounds really exciting and something that I think a lot of businesses need. Certainly, as I said, you know, from my past experience, and that was 6.5 years ago. You know, the amount of data and images, you know, and that's only just got, you know, that's got a lot worse, or you know, not worse, but there's a lot more data that's flying around now. So that's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Nathan, I don't think, is there anything else you want to sort of say?
I think that covers everything. I mean, we'll be following up to all the attendees. So if people have you know, more questions, or I can see there's still some questions coming in now, so we'll answer them afterwards. But yeah, so if you just make contact, and we can you know, using Teams or Zoom and the free trial, we can, you know, help businesses get a better understanding of what, and we can also understand what they want to achieve. I mean, that's very quickly. I mean, we've found that we've got, of all our customers using it, there's lots of different reasons why they adopted it. You know, some people it is for PDFs and catalogs, other it is for website integration. There's no single reason why we've found a business would adopt SkooCloud, and therefore we've had lots of interesting discussions about the benefits it can bring.
Great, thank you. So thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Greg. That was really interesting. And I understand you're also going to be running another webinar soon, and that's on Pixel 3, but I think dates TBC.
Yeah,
but
so Pixel 3 is our iPad app, which is used by lots of agents in the garden sector.
Yeah, and we'll be happy to share that with our membership as well. So if you let me know when that is, we'll pass that on. But thank you very much. Before we finish, just a quick reminder of some of the other sessions that we've got coming up for GIMA. Next week on the 12th, we've got Presenter Connect, who are presenting Sales Out is What It's All About. And they're going to be discussing 8 simple ways to getting the best return from your product listings in store, that is. So that's from Presenter Connect. And then on the 24th of November, we've got a presentation by GfK. So the exact content, they've yet to let me know, but it's certainly going to be around sort of market trends in the gardening sector. So that's from GfK. And then Dave Denny, who's the Research and Sustainability Manager at the HTA, he's also going to be presenting. We haven't confirmed the date yet, but he's going to be giving us some insights into consumer attitudes to sustainability. And that's probably going to be before the end of this month. And then in December, on the 3rd of December, we've got a chap called Mark Caddell, who's from Withers and Rogers, and he's a trademark lawyer, but he's going to be giving a presentation about licensing, product licensing, the sort of tips and hints, what to do and what not to do, that sort of thing. And then hopefully in December, we've got a few fun sessions coming up with Green Fingers as well, but we're still working on the details of those, but hopefully a little bit more light-hearted in December. Bring some festive cheer, keep everybody motivated and excited about Christmas and everything. So so that's all from me. Thank you very much for everybody. Thank you again to Greg and Nathan. That's been really interesting today. And I look forward to seeing everybody on one of our next sessions. So thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.